The New York Knicks are going through a pretty rough patch this season. The fan-favorite basketball team was on a winning streak but took huge losses, especially after their star point guard Jalen Brunson got a hip injury mid-game and was unable to play. They also had to forfeit the draft pick because of another Brunson-related drama. In today's video, we're discussing why the forfeit happened. Let's dive in. Firstly, Knicks forced to forfeit draft pick after NBA investigation. The NBA took away the Knicks' right to a second-round draft pick for 2025 because of foul play suspected during their signing of point guard Jalen Brunson. The gist of it was that they found to be in talks with Brunson before it was technically allowed. While he was supposed to be in a period of free agency, in 2018 he was picked by the Dallas Mavericks in the second-round draft picks. But according to sources at The Athletic, they weren't even given the chance to make him an offer because his place with the New York Knicks was already considered a done deal. In June, Jalen Brunson established a contract with the Knicks for the next 4 years with a value estimated at a whopping $110 million. This originally seemed like the best thing that could have happened to them this season. However, the Knicks violated official NBA rules by being in discussions with Brunson before it was permitted, as it would be unfair to other teams to do so before the free agency period officially began. On December 2021, the league released the findings from an investigation they conducted into the matter, and as a result of these findings, the Knicks were banned from their right to a second-round draft pick in the 2025 season. Coming up, the Knicks versus the Spurs. The Knicks were already on a losing streak when they faced the San Antonio Spurs on Thursday, and instead of breaking this streak, they instead were handed their 5th consecutive loss, going out 115 to the Spurs 122. Despite Randle scoring a season high of 41 points, the Spurs were able to beat the Knicks, even without their injured starting player Devin Vassell. Knicks starter Jalen Brunson was also injured during this match and was replaced by Emmanuel Quickley, who scored a career high of 36 points, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. According to CBS, Spurs guard Romeo Langford said the reason they were able to defeat the Knicks was by just being physical, because they're a really physical team. He also praised Spurs player Keldon Johnson, who scored 30 points. Stanley Johnson and Jeremy Sokin are carrying the load against Randle and holding their own against his 41 points by being physical, regardless of potential fouling, because according to him, they weren't making it easy for him. Romeo himself also scored 23 points for his team, a personal career high. This made it a practically historical match and not on a positive note for Knicks fans. The New York Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau himself admitted that they didn't play well, adding that the numbers don't mean anything to him if they don't win, and that their 115 points were enough for him. Unfortunately for Tom, they just weren't enough to prevent his team's 5th loss in a row. Next up, the winning streak they were on and why it ended. The Knicks were winning 8 games in a row before all of a sudden they were off their game in a Knicks-esque fashion their long-suffering fans can attest to, and then they'd been losing for 5 games, and we're grasping at straws here. How'd this happen? Well, firstly, they were down by 2 players. With RJ Barrett out for a finger laceration and Jalen Brunson's hip injury, they're both starters, and this has definitely affected the team's play. Besides that, though, the faults are less in their play and more in their lineup choices. Fans are by now sick to the bone of head coach Tom Thibodeau's less than respectable decisions regarding the team. Like when he played Evan Fournier instead of Cam Reddish. The Daily Knicks has an article titled 3 head coaches who would be great replacements if the Knicks fired Thibodeau, and it keeps getting linked in their mentions. Less gentle hinting and more, come on, just do it already, we're sick of this guy. But in the end, fans can toss the blame wherever. The fact is, the Knicks need to get up and work for a change in their game if they actually want to win. Otherwise, they're just destined to stay mid. Not to mention, a shout out to a hidden hero in the Knicks. Julius Randle is like Clark Kent. You can't remember his name sometimes, but you really owe him a lot. In the games where starting point guard Jalen, who the Knicks lost their 2025 draft pick for, wasn't playing, he was picking up the slack. He's been pushed for the All-Star team again after his first being named for it in 2020, and he's currently in the top 20 NBA players. He's been asked about it, and what he had to say was pretty heartwarming for Knicks fans. If sort of meaningless considering the team we're talking about here, I'm just trying to focus on the team, helping us get wins, day by day, how I can improve as a player and a leader, and how we can improve as a team. That's pretty nice to hear, but it's not like the head coach is going to let him or the team improve anyways with the choices he makes. Randle's averaging 32.8 points and 41.2 minutes in the Knicks' last 5 losses and is definitely one of the team's biggest assets. Not to mention in their Thursday game against the Spurs, the Knicks only lost despite Randle's best efforts. He scored 41 points solo and had their opponents scrambling to maintain their lead. Jalen's absence was felt, but if it weren't for Randle, it would have been unmissable. Now for fan opinions, what's next for the Knicks? Not much if they don't make serious changes. Less less in how they play and more in how they operate. Fans think the current lineup is littered with guys who would have been able to stick around in the NBA if it weren't for their long-term contracts. Even Brunson had a connection to the Knicks prior to joining. His dad played for New York for 3 seasons and joined as an assistant coach too. Without this old man, would he have even left the Dallas Mavs to wear his current uniform of blue and orange? Plus, most teams have a couple, maybe 2 or 3 guys who are expendable and easy to trade. The Knicks have a lot. Can they really rely on Jalen Brunson instead of maintaining a good team and not just extras? It's not going to work in the long run, that's for sure. Just look at what's happened now that he's down with that hip injury, 5 losses in a row. He can't carry the entire team on his back. But the Knicks were still losing even when Brunson was still on the team. He's only been out 2 games and the Knicks have lost the last 5. The coach assures he's getting better every day, but fans aren't exactly eased by that. How much good can one guy possibly do? Knicks fans are this close to simply giving up. Next up, should the team fire Tom Thibodeau? It's like the whole stadium is shouting yes, obviously yes, and even the opponents are saying it. Tom Thibodeau will give you this: you're really good at getting good players on your team, sneaky methods or not, but considering it's through sneaky methods and a couple of good players don't exactly make an entire team, it's just not worth it. Thibodeau is known for being fired by the Chicago Bulls head office in 2017 because he refused to listen to anybody else's input on the lineup. It's not just that he heard it and ignored it, he just didn't want to hear it. At the time, he was cheered on for sticking to the man and then conning them out of Jimmy Butler. Everyone was on his side. And now it's like the world has been flipped. Suddenly, the not listening to anybody's input thing isn't a coach knowing he knows basketball better than the desk-sitting bosses. It's revealed to be a stubborn man thinking he knows best. The team is frustrated, and fans don't understand the coach-picked lineup, and players are all bought out because they had some connection or other. The situation is not exactly what his followers thought it was. Chicago Bulls head office must be laughing now. Turnabout's fair play, and this is a long-deserved karma finally coming for Tom Thibodeau. Finally, was losing the draft pick over Jalen Brunson worth it? Originally, as in when New York was on the 8-win streak, fans, coaches, and critics all said yes. It's not like the Knicks would even care considering they're making good money and they're one of the top 3 most valuable NBA teams. Though that's more because they're New York and less because they actually play well these days. And because of that simple but undeniable fact that they're just not playing well these days, the reality is sinking in. Looking back at it now, it's clear that it probably wasn't worth it, losing the draft pick over one guy. Maybe they just should have waited to approach him. It's not like he would have said no, right? His dad would have convinced him. The Knicks could stand to switch things up, especially after Brunson's hip injury, listing his status as questionable for the Saturday game against the Rockets, after missing the last game against the Spurs and the reunion game against his old team, the Dallas Mavericks. Still, there's no denying his skill at the game, and he has been the Knicks' go-to option this season. As their point guard, he stabilized the team and was imperative for their 8-game winning streak, thanks to his 20.8 points and 6.2 assists, which was their longest streak of wins this entire season. Only time will tell whether it will pay off. And that's all we have for you today. What do you guys think? Can the Knicks make a comeback? Was losing the draft pick for Jalen Brunson really worth it? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a like and go ahead and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Bye for now, and see you at the next one.